So what was the answer historically? Getting back to the history here, just take the fungus out. And it worked. It still works. We have less problems. Fungus-free is 0 alkaloids. You got to have the fungus with the plant to produce the alkaloids. The plant alone, or the fungus alone actually, doesn't produce alkaloids as good. Well, the plant's not at all. And the fungus, it has to have that fungus with it doing it. Well, that all worked real good until we started putting it out in dry weather. And I tell you, it created a whole new species from what the farmers were used to. They had 40 million acres of a species that was tough as nails. And I tell everybody, they had Superman, and we created Clark Kent, you know, and they didn't really like that. They just didn't like it. And so it has some use still, but people wanted to have something similar to what they've always had. But, you know, when we removed the fungus, it really reduced its persistence and the performance that farmers were used to. So that only worked for a while. And I just real quickly, why do the endophytes make it more persistent? Some of it's just mechanical. You actually have reduced grazing. I mean, they're not grazing as much. There's a tendency then to go with a lot of biomass, if you would, into the summer. And when you go do that, that tends to, the sun can't get onto the soil surface. It tends to build up, you know, and allow it to go over the summer a lot easier, because it's nothing competing with it, and it's also insulating itself in some ways from really high temperature that really results when you open the soil up. So that's one thing it does. You just get. In fact, I remember, Mark, we couldn't some pastures we couldn't stock heavy enough to make them eat. It just kept building up. We kept putting animals out there, and they still kept building up. But yet you get into a fungus-free pasture. It's probably one reason it's not very persistent too. We even worry about it in somewhat max few pasture. They're consuming it. I mean, they're really grazing it down, and you can't overgraze it. You know, you finally get in a situation what we've always hoped for, that we can actually overgraze fescue, but we don't want to, but it is possible. Also, all alkaloids are not bad. This same complex produces some other alkaloids that have beneficial effects. There's pyramine alkaloids, which have anti-insect properties. So there's a suite of alkaloids being produced by this thing. And you got to remember, that mutualism is because the plant and the fungus derive something from each other. That fungus is trying to keep, since it doesn't have its own reproductive cycle, it's trying to keep that plant alive as long as it can. So it's helping it not be grazed by animals, not be hit by insects, probably not even diseases. In other words, it's got a lot of things going on. Some are beneficial to the plant. I mean, all are beneficial to the plant, but there's some that we actually want to keep in the plant. Also, endophytes also, again, they're trying to help this plant be as strong as it can. It actually, we found that it produces some plant growth hormones, just low levels, but will actually allow more tillering and more growth. And you can really see that when you take the fungus out and compare two plants that one has the fungus and one doesn't. You see that kind of effect a lot. Not all the time, but a lot. And then finally, it's probably still tied to this plant growth hormones, but we get more leaf rolling in infected plants during dry weather, and the infected plants tend to live over droughts better. So all these things go together, and it makes it very fit in nature.